you guys? Thank you for tuning into the show. We're live in effect once again. I'm your host, MJ. And of course, as you know, we're going to get into some movie reviews. As you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about the horror, the supernatural. I'm going to be talking about the supernatural horror film Spell, okay? Starring the main character, Omari Hardwick. If you guys don't know Omari Hardwick, he is known from the series Power. So from the series Power, that's where Omari Hardwick is mainly known for, okay? But this is the movie, okay? Spell. It fits in the horror genre. It's a supernatural horror film. I personally, what I have to say about this film is I think that, especially seeing how this was another film which we don't get a lot of. I know we had the Us film, and now we have this one. Get Out didn't necessarily have no all-black cast, so I won't consider that an overall majority black cast, the Get Out film. But Us was a majority of all-black cast. So I would consider this another horror film that was a majority of an all-black cast. Personally, I do think that this was a good movie. I think it was a good movie. It was not a bad movie. I think it was a good movie. I think that people are underestimating this film, okay? I think that this film, Spell, starring Omari Hardwick, I think that it does not get enough credit as what credit is due. I think this movie was actually good, especially being a film coming out in the new era. I think this is one of those, especially when we're talking about horror. I liked it. It was new. It was good. It has some of its originality to it, and it wasn't just a facsimile or copy of something or a remake or something. So I like that about it. As you could tell, that this movie it had particular key characters in here. Two key characters that standed out in this movie to me would be Omari Hardwick, which would be the protagonist, and the antagonist, Loretta DeVine, playing Eloise. Okay, those were the two key characters in this film that stood out to me. Overall, I think that Omari Hardwick did a hell of a job in this film. I think he did a good job in this film. I believe this was the first film we got the actual chance to see him do a role of like this horror or any type of slasher suspense type of role. So I think this was a good job from him, seeing how this was our first time seeing him in a role like pertaining to horror or supernatural. Okay, the way the movie started off, I love the way how we had the little teaser. I like the backstory, everything. The movie started off as it kept progressing and going on. I like the whole progression. I like the way the story kept flowing. It was synchronized. I think that was a good job. As far as the overall cast, I think the overall cast was a pretty decent job. It could have had a more better cast overall. As like for example, the supporting cast. I think they could have incorporated a couple of other key characters to maybe even give draw more attention to the movie. But still, even though it didn't have a strong A+ cast, I think it still was a good movie. As I said, Omari Hardwick, I think he did a good job. Loretta DeVine did a good job. Actually, my most favorite thing of this movie, my most favorite character, my most favorite actor/actress in this film was Loretta DeVine. To me, Loretta DeVine stole the whole damn show. She stole the show. I think she did a hell of a job. Anything that Loretta DeVine appears in, I always love it, okay? She does a phenomenal job at anything she does. And this right here just goes to show, this movie Spell, it just goes to show how really good that Loretta DeVine is. And I will go so far as to say is because I know a lot of people, for example, and this is nothing against her because she's a phenomenal actress as well. But I know a lot of people, when we look at Angela Bassett as a certain way, and like I said, Angela Bassett is a beast. She's a phenomenal actress. But however, if you're asking me to rate who's better overall as an actress, depending on no matter what the film is, who's the overall better actress between Angela Bassett and Loretta DeVine, hands down, undisputably, I would pick Loretta DeVine, hands down. I think Loretta DeVine is one of the best, if not the best, lead, especially black actress, hands down, out of any other black actress in the game. No matter what time frame, hands down, straight flat out. Once again, I think that Loretta DeVine is the best black actress, hands down, in any time frame that I've seen in any time frame. She can squeeze in and do any type of film. Now, this is not to put nothing against Angela Bassett. Like I said, Angela Bassett is a beast herself too. Angela Bassett has been in different projects as well, and not just stick to one type of work or one specific type of projects. But if we're talking about overall, who would I choose? Who would I choose? Me as a film producer, me as a director, me as a writer, who would I want to be in my movie? It would be hands down Loretta DeVine. I think that she just does a phenomenal job, A+ work, everything she touches. She reminds me of the female version of Denzel Washington. That's what Loretta DeVine reminds me of. And I think that she did a hell of a job in this movie. And I like how you could tell she really took it seriously, and she really got into character for this role. She had to get herself really prepared for this role, and she really got into the role. I really felt her character. I think she did a hell of a job. As I said, Omari Hardwick, he did a good job too. He did a hell of a job playing Mark. He did a good job. I will list a couple of other people that were. I think there were a couple of key people that did a good job as well. So a couple of other supporting cast members. John Beasley playing Carl. John Beasley did a good job too. I liked him in this. Also, Steve Mulu playing Lewis, the big tall guy Lewis. Yeah. Steve Mulu, he did a good job too. Even though he didn't have really no lines, he couldn't talk. But that's because the backstory, the reason why he couldn't talk. So he never really spoke in the whole film. But I still think he did a good job. And I think that John Beasley playing Carl did a good job as well. I wasn't really too fond of the protagonist's family. The actress playing his wife, and then the actress and the actor playing his son and daughter. I wasn't really too fond of them. I think they could have went another direction to choose maybe another better supporting cast to play his family, but it's still, overall, I still like the movie, and I do think the movie was good. So I like the movie, and I think the movie was good. As I said, it falls in the horror genre. I was happy to see a horror film out in the new modern era, but that was not a copy or a facsimile of something from the old days. So I liked that, and I like how it gave us some kind of like black history. It wasn't just like the same we're used to. It gave us some of our black roots, okay, some of that African roots. I like that about that. It was good to see this. I think one of my key points, another favorite things about this was I like the battle between the protagonist and the antagonist. So the battle between Omari Hardwick and as the protagonist and the antagonist Loretta DeVine, I think it was just a phenomenal job. Both of them, to me, I think it was synchronized. It was a good battle of verses. We're talking about, when we talk about no matter what the movie type of genre it falls in, whether it's action, comedy, horror, suspense, mystery, thriller, etc., etc. When we're talking about anything, we know it's always a versus between the protagonist and the antagonist. Well, I think that this movie was a good job by the protagonist and the antagonist. It was a good storyline between them. And may I add, I would just want to let you guys, did you know that one of the producers, or should I say the directors, one of the producers of this film was Morris Chestnut. So Morris Chestnut was actually, if you guys didn't know that, Morris Chestnut was actually one of the producers of this film, Spell, okay? But I don't want to keep you guys any much longer. Like I said, I think overall this movie was good. It was a good movie, a phenomenal job by some of the key actors and actresses in this film. Like I said, the backstory is pretty much a family that's on their way to back to the protagonist's basically childhood region and area, but then they have to face some type of bloody, gory type of things, get caught up in this whole type of psycho, crazy ritual cult stuff going on, okay? So that was the backstory. But overall, like I said, it was a good movie. It's a much watch. I recommend, if you haven't watched this film, go watch this film. As I said, also, for the fact that it was a majority of an all-black cast film and was a black cast horror film, I think it was a phenomenal job. I do think that this movie went underrated. This movie is way better than the reviews that it got, okay? I looked at a lot of reviews, like on the internet and everything, how they were giving this, what type of stars and what type of reviews they were giving this film. I know it was getting a lot of negative backlash, but I disagree with a lot of negative backlash. I actually think this movie is better than a lot of movies that have came out in the past. And I would say in the past 10 years, this movie, I feel, is better than a lot of other horror movies that have came out, okay? But hands down, as I said, Omari Hardwick, hell of a job. Loretta DeVine, hell of a job, okay? I recommend a must-watch film. Now, my rating on a scale of 10, what do I give this film? I would give this film, I would give it an 8. I give it an 8. I would have gave this film a more higher rating than an 8 had it had a better supporting cast. But the fact that it did not have that was the one negative thing I have to say about this film. I feel that it could have had other actors and actors in this film to more like supporting cast to make it, you know what I'm saying, more like, even more like just, you know what it, guys don't know what I mean. But the fact that it did not, that was the only one negative thing I had to say about this film, is that I wasn't too fond overall of the supporting cast. Other than that, this film was a phenomenal job. So this is why I give this film an 8. I give it a rating 8 on a scale of 10. This film gets an 8. So that's all I have for you guys. I want to thank you guys once again for tuning in. If you have not watched this film, I recommend you go check this out. This is a black horror film, okay? It's an all-black cast, majority of all-black cast. It's a supernatural horror film. It's a phenomenal movie, okay? People that didn't like this movie, they must be crazy, because this was a good movie. This is one of the best horror films that I've seen in quite a bit of years. Besides the Conjuring, Annabelle, and the Insidious franchises, I would put this movie up there with those movies, because there's a lot of other movies that came out during that 10-year time frame that I just think just garbage, trash. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all know what to do. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to share this video. Thanks for you guys' support.